the post-Justin Fields era seems to be coming into focus at the quarterback position. According to Ryan Day, C.J. Stroud, who redshirted as a freshman last season, is starting to pull away from the competition, though Day isn't quite ready to name an opening day starter just yet.
Coach, the expectations are always the same here. Preseason top 5 team, and yet you lost a ton of production off of last season. What were the biggest questions you've been looking to get answered here in camp?
I mean, the first thing I think is, quarterback position. Losing Justin was really important. Also, what was the offensive line going to look like and moving some things around. On defense, linebacker position, lost those 4 guys. So personnel-wise, that was big. We have a new kicker and a new punter. So all big question marks coming into camp. And then I think just as a team is, the leadership. Who are the guys this year that are going to speak up when things get tough, times get tough. And it's great to go through camp for the first time in a long time to kind of work through a little conflict and long days. So it's been a good camp so far.
Who have those leaders been who have emerged?
I think there's been several guys that have stepped up. I think that on both sides of the ball we've had several guys. I think when you see our linebackers, you see Taraja Mitchell, who's had a pretty strong voice in there. Over the summer you saw Zach Harrison step up in a big way. I think on offense, this summer it's been Thayer Munford. Chris Olave has really stepped up, I feel like, in camp and really practiced really well. I've seen Garrett Wilson have the best camp he's had all year. I think Master Teague has really done a good job as well. And then we have a bunch of young guys that are trying to find their way, but they're also, I think for a young group, have a lot of leadership skills. So there's been a bunch of guys that have stepped up so far.
You mentioned quarterback right off the top, and you lose a player like Justin. Clearly there's going to be question marks. It's been kind of well documented how many different possibilities you've got here in camp, and you came out the other day and said C.J. Stroud had taken the lead at this point. Give us a sense of why.
Yeah, I think it's really a body of work over, I guess, now 27 practices when you count the spring, and we try to just take it one day at a time and look at the body of work. It's not one thing, but day in and day out, making really good decisions, leadership, obviously taking care of the football, and the ability to win in the red zone and win on third down has been critical, but at the end of the day, we're going to have one person playing quarterback against Minnesota on September 2nd, and then it's a long year from there.
Now, he was a little limited today, didn't do a whole lot. What was that a function of?
During camp, when we're into week 3 here, every once in a while we'll shut those guys down from throwing. So he handled a lot of the running stuff today, and it's just something normal we do.
There's a significant amount of interest in Quinn Ewers, no question. What's your plan for him?
We're just going to bring him along. There's a lot going on right now for Quinn, a lot coming at him, and I think he's done a really good job so far of not kind of, just jumping into it. He's shown respect to the guys around him, and I think that the guys appreciate that. And so we've been getting some work with him at the end of practice. He's been jumping in individual drills and picking up everything fast, but he's certainly drinking through a fire hose. And I think the guys on the team appreciate that. He doesn't have the recruits that he was in his class. He kind of jumped ahead. So, but he's a resilient young man.
No great secret, the pass defense has to improve. You led the nation in pass efficiency defense 2 years ago. Last year you were 87th, a significant drop-off. What have you seen that makes you believe you'll be better in that area?
I mean, the first thing is I think we really addressed our depth. We were very, very thin, especially at corner last year, and so our depth has been excellent. I see a lot of these young guys playing for us. They've really competed. When you look at the spring, some of those guys who came in early, and then a few of them that have come in this summer, I think we have a lot of depth there and a lot more competition. They're challenging more throws, and I tell those guys all the time, if you can cover Garrett and you can cover Jackson, you can cover Chris, then that should give you a lot of confidence going into the season.
Yeah, you're not going to see a better group than the group you have here at wide receiver. You mentioned some of the young guys might play. Just give us a sense overall on the team, newcomers who you think could make a significant impact.
I don't know. I think as you go through it, there's a couple young guys at wide receiver, Emeka Buka and Marvin Harrison have really shown that they can step up. Obviously, Julian Fleming's had a really good camp. Very excited to see what he does. The young running backs, Mayan Williams and Travion Henderson has really done a good job. Marcus Crowley's had a good camp as well. So we have a lot of depth at that position. Up front, we'll see what happens. But Donovan Jackson's had a really good camp. But Paris, I don't feel like Paris is a young guy because he's been here for a while now. But he hasn't played a lot of football. But he's had a tremendous spring and a tremendous camp. So that'll be fun to watch. On defense, I think the young corners have a chance. Denzel Burke has really stepped up. Up front, it'll be fun to see if those young 4 defensive linemen will get in the game. We'll see what Coach Jay wants, but they've really flashed during camp as well.
Finally, I'll leave you with this. You've got Minnesota, as you mentioned, a Thursday night in a primetime game against a solid conference opponent on the road. Then you've got Oregon coming in here. So you've got 2 high-profile games right off the bat. How does that change the tenor of camp?
The urgency is at an all-time high. We can't ease into anything. Going on the road at Minnesota is it's got all of our attention, and that's all we're focused on. Not focused on what's coming after that, because we got to make sure we get that win. And PJ does an unbelievable job, and they're going to take care of the football, and they're going to be tough, and they got veteran guys there, so we know it's hard, and our guys respect that. They do. They understand what's going on early in the season. So this preseason's been physical because we have to become game ready, and the goal is to become game ready by the end of this week so that we can start to prepare for Minnesota.
Head coach of the Buckeyes, Ryan Day. Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
We're visiting with offensive coordinator Ohio State, Garrett Wilson. Coach Day made mention that C.J. Stroud has separated himself from the other quarterbacks in recent days. What's made him separate, and what separates quarterbacks in general in a quarterback competition?
I think you look at the body of work from all the winter work, the spring work, the summer, how the guys are, and when they're in a leadership capacity. Maybe it's an off-season workout with Coach Mick and no balls involved, but who's got a little bit of leadership trait about him, about the guys are rallying behind. When it's time to play, are you pretty consistent? Can you deliver the ball and manage the weapons that we have? And in this world with the run-pass option, you're not being greedy. You're taking the throws when they're there, making the reads and managing the offense. So short-term, he's got a long way to go like all of them, but I think he's shown maybe a little bit more consistency, and I think what Ryan's trying to do is figure out in time how to balance the reps without saying it's a done deal yet. We still need him significantly to improve, but he's had a good camp. I really like Jack and Kyle where they're coming, and of course we just had the young guy that just show up and Quinn this past week, so it's a very talented group.
Give us some feel for the running back depth and competition.
Yeah, the young players coming in, Trayvon Henderson and Evan Pryor, have really enhanced that room with Master coming back. We lose Trey Sermon, but Master coming back. Probably had his best preseason, looks strong, looks healthy, trying to play to his strength. Really thought Mayan Williams had a really great spring, came into his own the end of last year. And then we've got Marcus Crowley as a third guy, but the young freshmen sometimes get there and pop is good, so it's a very, very talented group. You got a little bit of experience with Master and some size. Marcus Crowley, a bigger guy. You got a little bit of thump with Mayan. They're all a little bit different. Coach Alford does a great job with those guys. Those young players, though, are pretty special, and I think you're going to see, as always, even though I think we started saying Master's our guy because he's played so much, Mayan the same deal, having played a little last year. I think Coach is going to be a 3-man, even 4-man deal, the way we play tempo and rotate those backs around. So I think our fans and our opponents will see 2, 3, and 4 backs playing.
Coach, you were on the cutting edge with the spread 19, 20 years ago. What's the latest trends with the spread offense?
It just started based on maybe Joe Tiller in the past style of Drew Brees years ago, or what Coach Rodriguez and we were doing. That Coach Meyer did was a little bit more the running quarterback, Coach Malzahn, the running quarterback. Then in time, it kind of blended with some of those Oklahoma teams and then the Baylor teams where it was the run with the passing game. So it started all pass or option. Then it got into maybe a little bit of run and pass blend. Now it's got into the run and the RPO. And what I think you're going to see is the run and the RPO start doing with multiple personnel groupings. I think if you have it, you don't have to be 11 spread personnel all the time. You can still do a little bit of the tempo and spread around when you have guys like Jeremy Ruckert and guys like Cade Stover, G. Scott, or Joe Royer, some big tight ends that you could play in space. Or when you have 2 tailbacks, you could get on the field and go from a 2 tailback set to a spread. So I think what you're going to see with a lot of teams is spread, maybe tempo, maybe not, RPO, run the quarterback, you have a running quarterback, but I think the next thing is the multiple personnel groupings, blending spread with base football. And at the end of the game, it's still blocking and tackling, so we can window dress it, Coach. But when they're really good teams, they play behind their pads, they block and tackle, they take care of the ball, take care of the quarterback.
Only Ohio State's Chris Olave received more, which stands out not just because he's a wideout, but because fellow receiver Garrett Wilson also made the list. Here is Wilson on the Bucs quarterback competition.
I say with CJ, he really drops the ball in there. The best way to put it is like Russell Wilson, it fall on you. So, it makes it really easy to catch the deep ball. Kyle, I mean, he's the hardest working quarterback I've met. So from the day he walked in, he's had a huge impact on, getting us all out to the field, getting us to go throw. And, that's something that can't be understated because, I mean, Kyle's my guy. I love him. And then Jack, he's the dude that's out there always keeping the energy high, always going to keep you laughing, throwing dots and stuff like that. So we love all the three of the quarterbacks. And then Quinn just got here, I think 2 days ago we saw him for the first time. And, he's still trying to figure things out. He's a little more quiet on the sidelines. But, in the locker room, he's a real cool dude. We're all getting to know him. So he's going to be great.
Last year, we didn't necessarily play the best that we wanted to up to our standard. And we all know that coming back this year.
We see every day as nothing's given to you. You got to go get it. And these championships that we won in the Big Ten, they're hard to win. So we take pride in that. We don't take it as an easy outcome.
We love to play football. We love what we do. And yes, sometimes it's going to be hard, of course. We spend all offseason training, working harder, getting bigger, faster, stronger, watching film, trying to figure out how we can make ourselves better.
We've come up short in the last 2 years. We ended on a loss both years. So, taking that chip into our shoulder in the offseason is something that's really motivated us.
As good as Ohio State was as a team last year, the Buckeye defense took a huge hit, at least statistically, in comparison to its performance the previous 2 years. A huge jump in pass yards, total yards, and big plays allowed added up to the most points per game surrendered in school history. And while the sample size of a COVID year played a part, these Silver Bullets know they need to be much better.
Pleased to be joined by the outstanding defensive end, Zach Harrison. We'll start with this. Last year, defensively, think things were a little bit less than what you would want it to be. This year, there is an emphasis on your defense on trying to close that gap. So what are some of the things that you've been doing to do so?
There's a standard set here, by the players in the past, Silver Bullets. And last year, you could ask all the guys, we didn't live up to that standard. And a lot of the guys are returning, and we know that, we have to get better in all aspects of the defense. So the D-line has been focusing on, getting pressure, or not just getting pressures, but turn those pressures into sacks. And, DBs and linebackers and back seven focus on contesting passes downfield and just making it harder for offenses to make big plays on us.
And on that defensive line, conversion to sacks, it's a big part of what you're going to do this year. So what are some of the things this offseason, early on in training camp, that you've done to enhance your game?
Aside from getting bigger, stronger, and faster with Coach Mick, that always helps. Just film study with Coach Jay. He's been in the room talking to us about, our steps and how we take a little false step or we cross our feet here, and that might not get you the sack that you want, and just focus on the small things and the details, because when we're talking about like 0.5 seconds, 0.2 seconds, it's the little things that's going to matter.
Obviously, you're one of the veteran guys in that group. You've got a good veteran presence, but there are some young guys who've just gotten in. JT Tuimo-Alau, Jack Sawyer's another guy in that room who's a young player. What has their development been like so far in the camp?
Yeah, they're getting better every day, and it's fun to watch. First day they got here, they were doing freshman things, struggling, and they still are because they're freshmen, but they're making more plays now and they're playing a lot better.
You go against these guys every day in practice. What do the quarterbacks bring to the table?
To be honest, I don't really pay attention much to the quarterbacks. You're asking the wrong person. I just try to get to them. I don't really know. I don't worry about what's going on behind me. Just got to get to the quarterback.
I'll get you out of here on this one. As you prepare for the season, you've got 2 games early on that are big ones. Obviously, Thursday night game on the road versus Minnesota, and then you'll bring it home and play against Oregon in week 2. Does your mentality shift at all as a team as you're preparing for 2 big games in the beginning of the year, or is it business as usual?
A little bit, knowing that Minnesota is a great team. We got to go in their stadium on a Thursday night. The first game of college football, they're going to be juiced up. They're going to be ready to play, and they're going to be ready to take Ohio State out. And that's something that we've known all season, and we're ready for. We're ready for the challenge, and we're ready to step up. And we have to prepare during this camp like we don't have any. I don't want to say warm-up games, because every game is a competitive game in college football. But we're playing a really good opponent first game, so all the mistakes that we might make first game can't be made. We have to be on our P's and Q's.
I appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you.
With its selection as the nation's 4th-ranked team in the AP preseason poll, Ohio State extends its streak of consecutive appearances in that poll to 33 straight years. Not only is that the country's longest active streak, it ties teams of yesteryear, from Penn State and Nebraska, for the longest ever. More from Columbus as we welcome in Joshua Perry and Howard Griffith.
Howard, we just finished up taking in the sights and the sounds here at practice in Columbus. Obviously, a lot of position groups that stand out, none more than the wide receivers to you.
really, they talk about 50-50 balls and going up and attacking the football. And, I asked Garrett about this. And to me, I've been around a lot of football, but I've never seen a group high point the ball the way this group does on a consistent basis. So much so that every one of them looks like they all do it the same. I'm telling you, it's just unbelievable to watch these guys work. And it's not just them going up and catching the ball, it's playing without the ball, which I mean by that is blocking.
Sure. And it's funny because when Garrett came out, we asked him, how was practice? And it was so casual. He said, good day. Wide receivers had a good day today. It was a pretty daggone good day. I would say it's, in terms of the offensive skill, the running back position is really interesting to me, too, because you've got Master Teague, who's a veteran guy coming back, and he's going to get a share of the carries. But you've got a Mayan Williams, who's a guy who we all think is pretty good, and then a Travion Henderson, which is a hot name around Columbus. You know something about these running backs. They're pretty good.
Yeah, he's got a chance to be really, really special. It'll be interesting. I know he'll get touches in the first game, but it'll be interesting just how quickly he's able to adapt and get in and be, one of the featured guys. But that's a luxury they have. You don't have to step in, put him into the game right now and be the featured guy because there's so much talent in that position.
Yeah, and, just one of the things overall that stood out, too, about practice is when you talk to the coaches, and obviously everybody's got their different things that they want to improve upon before the season starts, whether it's some technique things, building up depth, making sure that the game flows a little bit more naturally. But one of the overwhelming things that you heard from these coaches and staffers around is that as long as they can stay healthy, they're going to be in a pretty good position. So I think that's important to recognize, too, is that they feel like they're a pretty complete team.
I'll say this, and I say this all the time, and I'm going to say it on camera this time. The managers have managers, and the managers move with a sense of urgency when you're at Ohio State practice.
Yeah, the managers getting coached up just like the players. Had a lot of fun today.